Hey, you guys, guess who? Welcome back to my obsession. This is Stella with Stella's Knife Obsession. And like I promised, I'm going to come at you with a couple of reviews today and tomorrow. But anyway, here is the Artisan Immortal, okay? I bought it because, frankly, it has a cool name. I really like the name. And I just thought the overall look of the knife was pretty cool, pretty slick. This blade shape is awesome. It is so awesome. I just love it. It's like a recurved sheep's foot kind of style blade. And then it has the fuller in there on both sides, and it looks extremely attractive. Um, I didn't quite understand the milling that they did, the milling pattern in the scales, especially since they left it out on the other side. So I didn't quite understand the cohesion there, but on this side, the look is complete, I think. Um, Now on this side, it's not quite complete, but I mean, it's not an ugly knife by any means, but so anyway, it has stainless steel liners, and it has relatively smooth action. The There's a bit of a stiffness to which is strange because the knife, it's got a thick blade stock. It's got a relatively heavy blade, but for some reason it doesn't really fall shut. The detent is kind of medium on this. I think I would probably want a better, a more stiffer detent, something to hold that blade in a little bit longer so that when you do fire, it snaps out with authority. But either way, now you can see there is a little bit of milling in there, but for some odd reason, it does not feel like it. This knife is really heavy. Now, I don't normally mind, but because the knife is as heavy as it is, and the shape of the handle, it seems like it would be wonderful ergos, but it forces your hand into a position that feels cramped. And I just I just don't really care for the ergos on this one at all. There's no jimping whatsoever. So you can feel the liners a lot. They really could have used some jimping all the way down this thing to about halfway probably. And the lock bar is really stiff. I mean, it's easy to disengage. It's just really, really stiff. So it's strange, it takes a second to get over the detent too. For how light it is, it shouldn't. See, you could easily fail it. For how light the detent is, you shouldn't have such a hard time getting back over it to close the blade. So yeah. Anyway, let me grab my scale. Okay, we're back. So I'm gonna stick this guy here. Let's see what it weighs. Wow. So it weighs 5.57. So 5.6 ounces. I mean, that's heavy. Um, like I said, I don't normally care about a heavy knife, but this doesn't even seem like it should be a heavy knife. It's just G10 and D2. It's it's a very simple knife. Now, the Artisan Osprey that I have, that thing's almost 8 ounces. I love that thing, and it has valid reasons why it should weigh that much. But this, in my opinion, has zero reason to weigh that much. But I know that there's probably plenty of people out there that would disagree with me, and that's fine. We're all human, and we can disagree. But this thing also takes up quite a bit of room in your pocket. It does have a pretty deep carry pocket clip. It has a nice centering blade. I'm sorry, the blade is nice and centered. Um, all right. Okay, sorry, I got a phone call right in the middle of that. Uh, But the fuller, you can't finger flick this knife at all. You have to, you have to pull the blade out to. You can only use the flipper tab, and I was really hoping to use the fuller as a form of deployment because I don't know, I'm one of those weirdos that likes many forms of deployment. That's all. Either way, I at least like the one form of deployment to work nicely if that's all I'm gonna get. So, hold on one second. Anyway, more than likely I'm going to sell this knife because I know I won't carry it. So, I guess I'm gonna throw it up on eBay. Um, Unless, I mean, if any of you are interested in it, I'm letting it go for pretty cheap because I didn't really use it, but uh, I still did a review on it. I still held it and I carried it for one day. So I'm gonna let it go pretty cheap. But let me know on Instagram at Stella's Knife Obsession. Let me know if you're interested. If not, no big deal. I'm throwing it up on eBay anyway. Okay, so while we're at it, I'm going to grab another knife and review it right here and now. All right. Okay, here I have the QSP Leopard in micarta. I set down this 4-inch ruler just to kind of do a size comparison type of thing. The cutting edge on this is just under 3 inches. But the blade length is right at 3 inches. The handle, I mean, it's a nicely balanced knife. The blade to handle ratio is really nice. The handle is right at about 4 inches or 4.5 or something like that. So, and actually, let me just go ahead and compare it with the Immortal while we're at it, so you can see the difference. This thing is enormous, and it's a heavy use knife for sure. But just so you can see the difference, let me put them pivot to pivot. So there you go. And but I was thinking that the Leopard was going to be a much larger knife than this actually. So I was pretty surprised when it came in and it was just this little tiny thing. But I'm not disappointed. It was cheap and it's a great little knife. I've used it to break down quite a few boxes at work already. I've cut up a couple tents. I've done quite a bit with this thing already, and I like it a lot. It performs well. The only thing is that it doesn't have that typical QSP action that I'm used to. But it's not bad. It's just not as reliable as their other knives that I have. But if you get it the right way every time, it will fly open every time. But I have had many a time that the thing failed on me, but that is not that big of a deal. This is a great backup knife. I love the flipper tab on this. I just don't know that they thought it out completely before executing this design, because it's almost flush with the pivot, and that's why it actually will, I believe that's why it will fail sometimes. But other than that, I'm really happy with this blade, and happy with the carry. I would definitely consider it an easy carry, and it's what was I gonna say? Oh, it's just easy to carry. This is a knife for your mom or your wife. I think that females would really like this knife because it's easy to deploy the blade. It's easy to close the blade. It's not huge. It doesn't take much room up in your pocket or your bag or purse or whatever. So I definitely think a wife or a mother could use this blade. And of course, the design is very attractive. I got the black micarta, I believe. But they have other colors. I don't believe they have any G10 models or anything like that, but it's cheap. And you get good steel. It's 14C 28N, which is great steel. You know, you can get a razor blade's edge on that thing. And if you don't use it a lot, this thing will stay sharp for a long time. But even if you do use it a lot, it still straps up really quickly. So that's my take on the QSP Leopard. I like it a lot. And I will say this is like a 7.5 on my stab-o-meter. It's pretty stabby. So if you needed it for, protection, you could protect yourself with it. It's much more stabby than the Immortal. This thing is like a 4 on my stab-o-meter. So, but let me see here. See how large this. Yeah, this is a 3.25-inch blade. Yeah, so it's a pretty large knife. It's not a bad knife. I just don't care for it myself. It's just a little too stiff, too large for me. But anyway, definitely suggest the QSP Leopard. Let me know if you already have one and what you think about it. Please like, comment, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. You could even share this video if you wanted to. I wouldn't mind one bit. Thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you made it to the end, and I will see you soon.